By the way, it's a side note before we get started. Very pleasant drive, beautiful day for a drive. It's great to be in southern, specifically western southern Indiana and Evansville. Obviously, nice drive through towns. Got to see the Ford Center, and so it's very, very impressive and very good to see. So happy to be here. And at that point, we will go ahead and get started. So we'll start off like we normally do. General Counsel, is there a quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. You will have to deal with me while I do some reading here. So good morning. I'm calling to order the April 2026 meeting of the IHCDA Board of Directors. We are meeting pursuant to this board's policy for participation by members of the IHCDA Board of Directors in board meetings by simultaneous electronic communication. This means that only 3 members must be physically present at the site of the meeting, and the remaining members may call in. There will be an audio feed for the general public so that members of the public can listen to the meeting, and there will be a link to the video recording posted on IHCDA's website next month. At the time the motions are being made, each board member that makes a motion must state his or her first and last name for the record. The votes will then be tallied by roll call. I will now take a roll call of the board members to confirm members who are present and their location. We'll start with myself, Mark Pascarella, designee for the State Public Finance Director, Jim McGough. I am present and in the room. Greg Pulse. I do not believe we have Greg online, and he is not present. Treasurer of State, Daniel Elliott. Present. Chad Gryween.
Present virtual.
Andy Place Senior.
Present virtual.
Michael Schottmeyer.
President in person.
And Tom McGowan, who looks like not to be present, either online or present here in the room. Before we start the actual board meeting, it is my pleasure to cede the floor today to Michael Schottmeyer to do some local introductions.
Again, my name is Mike Schottmeyer. We normally have name tags. I am from Evansville, served on the Indiana Housing Board and Development Board for quite a while. I think I'm going on 8 years. Lauren's here if you could tell me. It's a pleasure to represent this part of the state. So that everyone knows, Andy is sort of my counterpart in the north, and then most everyone else is in from central Indiana. I have the pleasure of introducing some of our key players in the housing business, some of which I know well and some of which are newer and I don't know as well. From Advantix, who's our host. I'm going to let him, you're back in the back, just stand up and, because he's welcoming us here, and let him kind of kick off a little bit because this is his property. So, and I'll introduce your board members. So.
Okay, perfect. Welcome. Again, we had the honor of having your meeting in Corrigan a few years back.
Yeah.
So my name's Rick Moore. I'm the president and CEO of Advantix and Evansville Housing Authority. I want to thank you all for being here and selecting this location. This location was flat dirt a few years back. We got tax credit through the state in order to build this facility, the one next door. So we welcome your looking at this particular site. Advantix was formed about in 2007, and it was formed to be our development arm to not only sustain the units that we have, but also to expand developability of affordable housing area. So we've done that here and across the state. So what you approved this project was the $10.2 million project. And it, as you can see, it helped to renovate this area, rehab this area, and mix the nice community down. So thank you again for not only coming down and having your board and your support in our activities. I want to thank the mayor for coming and my board members, Chairman David Hatfield and other board members here. I don't know if they're all here. Hey, Millie's here, and there's Daphne, she's here. Oh, so thank you all for coming.
The Housing Authority board members, why don't you stand up so everybody can see Daphne, David, Dave and I go way back and raised our kids together, and we can tell a lot of stories. So, pleasure. Thank you for having us. We also have, in the local housing, we work well in this community. We work very well together. For example, our county and city government in the same building have been for 40 years, and we have a long history of working well on economic development. We have all 4 counties working together, have for decades. So we're regionalism and groups working together are in our ethos in this area. And I know because I've served the state around, and some areas don't work together quite as well as we do. One example of that beyond economic development is you see it in our United Way and in a lot of our charities that support housing and community development. They too work on a regional basis. Well, I think we have a little advantage in Southwest Indiana because Indiana is shaped like Italy or like a sock or a boot, and we're in the toe of the boot. So maybe we're all forced to work together because of that mighty Wabash River, which you can't cross, and the Ohio River, but we do. Joyce Fleck, I didn't get a chance to meet. Joyce, want to stand up? Joyce is with TriCap Community Action, very important partner. Why don't you all stay up because it shows our unity. Gary, and Gary, he and I are I'm from East Central Indiana originally. Mark always makes fun of me because I've been in every place in Indiana. Daughter lives in South Bend right now. So, and Gary's from my neck of the woods, and he's on the Ohio side, but Gary heads up Cape, across the street, right?
Well, that's my road. It's a Head Start facility, and next to that is the early Head Start facility. Behind that are 3 solar homes, and next to that are senior citizen housing. So we appreciate the partnership that we have with you, the city, and thank you for building into you, bringing our property value down.
And my mother-in-law, who's 89 years old, served on their board back in the 60s with a lot of good friends. So Ryan Rigg, we just met, United Caring Center Services. So we have a unified downtown. We're able, with Fort Wayne and us, and now Indy, they always get legislation in Indy. They get to do it the easy way because they control the General Assembly. We had to pass a referendum, and we did, and we helped support through downtown. And United Caring's downtown and takes care of our homeless. I'm gonna, and so we work together a good deal. Josh and I work together in downtown, keep Evansville beautiful, all together. And Josh works with our liaison with the police department. And then I guess if we don't have our friends on here from down the street, but we have homeless, getting feedback, but we have other homeless than just, we do a pretty good job, and that's on our agenda a lot. Erica, I didn't see Erica here. Erica Taylor with the YWCA, very important Christian mission. And Erica is a fellow lawyer, and Julia from Albion Bacon Fellows. Yeah, Julia. So Trockman, my partner's on the board with you. And Albion Bacon has a very, very special mission, goes back 100 years, long time.
We've been around since 1981. So
Okay. But the heritage, and then our bar association works very closely with Albion Bacon. They have a very special mission with important people who have been disadvantaged in our community. So did I get everyone, Mark?
I believe we have the mayor.
I didn't see, is the mayor here?
He's so tall.
And most importantly, she is so tall. Wait, come up and give us a couple remarks. And she knows the housing very well.
I do. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And welcome to Evansville. We appreciate you, number one, hosting your board meeting here in our city, and your for continued partnership. We've made it clear here in Evansville that housing is a top priority. Our goal is to add 2,000 new housing units by the end of 2027. And I'm pleased to say that most recent numbers that I've looked at, we are at 1,226. So those are 1,200 under development or in the pipeline. And so I believe that we're going to reach our goal by the end of next year. And that's really, attributed to, again, your partnership in making some projects, along with other partners like Advantix and many that are in this room and others, projects like Crawford Door, River City Homes. And we're keeping our fingers crossed for Grandview Towers. So thank you so much again for your partnership. And we hope that you enjoy your visit and meeting conversations today.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for those remarks, and I appreciate everyone
Well, is
making.
it Annette, is Annette going to? I mean, she runs all this, you want to,
I will take it for that.
okay.
Warren, thank you for allowing me to present today. My name is Luke Elton. I am the Director of Property Management for Advantix Development. I oversee a regional portfolio of affordable housing across Indiana with a strong emphasis on operational performance, compliance, and creating high-quality living environments for our residents. Today, I'll tell you a little bit about Erie Point, specifically what daily life looks like for our residents, along with the amenities and community features that define the property. Erie Point is a well-maintained, thoughtful design community that provides residents with a stable, comfortable place to live. From a day-to-day perspective, life at Erie Point is centered around consistency, cleanliness, and a sense of community. Our on-site team maintains a strong presence, ensuring property operational efficiency, maintenance needs are addressed promptly, and residents have a reliable environment they can depend on. The physical layout and amenities at Erie Point play a significant part in the resident experience. The property includes a well-kept green space, outdoor areas that encourage residents to spend time and interact with their neighbors. One standout of the community is the gazebo, which serves as a central gathering point. This structure was constructed in our partnership with Youth, another program that is a part of Advantix Development, which the structure is become a focal point of the property used for informational gathering, resident interaction, and community events. In addition to the outdoor amenities, Erie Point offers functional features, support daily living, including accessible building layout, organized common areas, including the yoga room, which is a well-kept, clean space. This property is designed with both physical, practical, and comfortable, ensuring residents have what they need for their immediate environments. At Erie Point, we intentionally incorporated community integration through a dedicated set of 8 units designed to support inclusion within the broader community. These units are fully integrated throughout the property, not set apart, ensuring residents live alongside their neighbors in a natural, inclusive environment that promotes interaction, independence, and true sense of belonging. This approach allows residents in these units to fully access all amenities and shared spaces. From our operational standpoint, Erie Point reflects Advantix's commitment to maintaining strong standards across our portfolio. The property is consistently monitored for performance, physical conditions, and compliance, ensuring it meets expectations set forth by IHCDA, while delivering a quality product for our residents. In closing, Erie Point is a strong example of how thoughtful design, consistent management, and meaningful amenities come together to create a stable, engaging living environment. It's a community where residents can rely on their surroundings, connect with neighbors, and take pride in where they live. Thank you for your time and look forward to you guys touring our site later.
Thank you very much.
And we're neighbors, on both sides. I drive it every day. It's amazing to see what's happened in the neighborhood. A lot of leadership, both from the churches and all through. Mayor's been obviously a giant part of that. I got to use the bully pulpit. I will. Tom, we do need trees. We're trying, this used to be all oak trees along here. Mayor knows I'm the tree board. And we gotta get more trees in here, Rick. We need more native trees on the, for not just for everyone. So that's the only thing that I drive by. We got them over there. We just, this one in your headquarters, right back there. So, and I've met with them and it's hard to find money, isn't it, Mayor?
It is.
And housing's more important than trees, I understand, but everything you talked about, the quality of life, that plays into it. You can see it. It's awesome. So, thank you.
Very welcome. And again, I appreciate everyone who's shown up and made their comments and made us feel welcome here. But I will let you know that I also appreciate your role, Mike. You play on the board. You're a big champion for this area of the state. And, obviously we need that because housing affects all of Indiana, not just certain parts of it. So I appreciate all your stewardship that you've brought. And trust me when I say he's a advocate for this part of the state. He's a strong advocate. We hear his voice loud and clear, which is great. That's true.
So every once in a while they have an agenda with nothing south of Highway 40. And Andy will do the same thing with it's north of. And I'll remind them, wait a minute, we're missing New Albany, Evansville, Washington, Vincennes. But they're very good. I mean, staff, I will tell you that by and far, we had one map on one of our programs, Tom, was that we had 89 of the 92 counties. So they're very sensitive. They know this is the Indiana organization and they know they're serving Indiana. But Andy and I do have to, every once in a while, poke a little bit.
Yeah, you got to poke the bear every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that, but he is a strong advocate, and I mean that really in a positive way. So all the voices are being heard throughout the state, and I think that's obviously mission critical because again, it's Indiana housing, not just specific areas. So I appreciate that. With that, that was actually a very lively and actually fun part of the meeting because normally we don't have that introduction. So we do have to get down to business here at some point. So we will move to section 1, which is going to be the approval of the minutes. So the first item obviously is the approval of the minutes from March 26, 2026 board meeting. I will hope and assume that everyone on the board has looked over those minutes and I will take any questions or comments. Hearing and seeing none, then may I have a motion to approve.
Andy Place, motion to approve.
I have a first, can I get a second? I'll second. Treasurer Elliott does the second, so then we'll move to roll call. So Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott. Aye. Chad Grywe.
Aye.
Andy Place Senior.
Aye.
Mike Schotmeyer.
Aye.
Mark Pasquarello votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Got to move to number 2, finance. Is that right? We're going to do. Is that the next one going to? Yeah, I believe we got the audit presentation resolution. Welcome Chris Hewitt and Forbes, who will present the audit findings and resolution.
Good morning, board members. My name is Chris Hewitt. I am Controller and Director of Accounting at IHCDA, and I'm here today to present the completed 2025 financial statement audit and single audit for your review and approval. As in previous years, IHCDA engaged Forbes to conduct these audits. Emily Balbach, Director at Forbes, will provide an overview of our audit process and key results. Following her remarks, Chad will offer additional comments on behalf of the audit committee. We will then be available to address any questions the board may have, after which Chad will present the resolution for your consideration. Before turning the presentation over to Emily, I would like to express my appreciation to Forbes for their diligence and guidance throughout the year. Their work continues to be thorough and highly professional. I would also like to thank the audit committee for their time, engagement, and thoughtful questions. Finally, I want to recognize the IHCDA accounting staff. It is a privilege to lead such a dedicated and hardworking team of public servants. With that, I will now hand the presentation over to Emily.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. As Chris mentioned, my name is Emily Balbach. I'm a director with Forbes Mazars, and then Rick Wickren is also here as well, a partner with Forbes Mazars. I'm happy to be here with you guys today. I'm not originally born and raised here in Evansville, so it's always nice to make it back down here and make the trip down here on I-69. So our plan today is just to really high level go over the financial results. I do want to mention that all of these deliverables have been issued. And I think overall, you'll see really clean audit results. As a reminder, we do have 3 deliverables. The first is the financial statement audit, which really looks at your year-end numbers as of December 31st, 2025. We also have the single audit report, which is your audit of your federal expenditures. And then lastly, we do have our required communication, which just includes some of that information that we're required to communicate to management each year. We look at this first slide here as far as audit results. I'm really happy to report that all of the opinions that we issued over the financial statements, as well as the single audit report, were all clean or unmodified opinions, which is what you want to see and what you should really expect to see in your audit results each year. Also happy to report, if we look at government auditing standards as well as uniform guidance, which is your audit of your federal expenditures, that there were no reportable findings in either of those areas. Also, no compliance issues noted. So again, really clean audit year, really great results from your finance team and from your organization this year. If we look at audit adjustments, there were no proposed audit adjustments that were recorded this year as a part of the audit process. We did have one audit adjustment that was not recorded, or what we like to call as a past adjustment. This means it's above our lowest level of materiality thresholds that we have to evaluate, but overall is not significant to the financial statements. So is not reflected, is not recorded in your financial statement numbers, but is summarized on the back of that required communication. Again, overall, not that significant, nothing of concern when we look at that past adjustment. And then at the bottom of this slide, just want to mention again, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. If we had either of those level of findings, those would be required to be reported in your single audit report. So happy to say no reportable findings. The lowest level of finding is just going to be a deficiency. And anytime we have an adjustment that's recorded or passed on, we do have to evaluate those for a deficiency. We determined that the past adjustment that you guys had this year was since it was pretty insignificant, if we look at the total IHCDA organization, that it was only orally communicated. So you will not see that in writing within your required communication. The next couple of slides just show some real high-level financial highlights of IHCDA for 12/31/2025. If we look at your total assets, you'll see by far your investments held against bonds are going to make up the majority of your total assets. They make up 68% of your total assets. And you'll see that increased around $506 million or 30% over this past year, which is really due to the 3 new bond issuances that you guys had, as well as just overall increased market value adjustments to those investments. You'll see a similar trend on this liabilities and deferred inflows, that bonds and notes payable bar on the far left side is going to make up a majority of your total liabilities. It's 93% of the total liabilities. And you'll also see a similar increase as well here, around increase of $441 million due to that new debt that was issued. There was $523 million of new debt during 2025. The next slide looks at your net position and breaks it down into the 3 reportable categories that you'll see within the financial statements. The unrestricted bucket, which is the bucket at the bottom, that's going to make up 56% of your total net position balance compared to 63% in the prior year. And that's the balance that really IHCDA, there's no restrictions on it. IHCDA is allowed to determine where you see fit that portion of your net position. And then your restricted net position is going to be right above that. It makes up 44% of your total for 2025 compared to 2024, where it was 37%. The last 2 slides look at kind of revenue and expenses. This one particularly looks at your revenue and the breakout of that in comparison year over year. You'll see your program revenue is going to make up that largest bucket of revenue. It did decrease around $99 million this year, and that's really due to 3 main programs where that funding kind of ran out and those ended over this past year. So expected decline as those program revenues declined. You will see though that the interest income, so the 4th bar from the left, that increased around $95 million this year. That includes both your interest revenue as well as that market value adjustment. So marking up your investments. That's a positive increase of $95 million this year in comparison to 2024. If we look at expenses, again, a similar trend here where you'll see those program expenses also declined around $92 million, similar as the revenue. And then you'll see your interest expense increased around $32 million due to those 3 new debt issuances this year. And then the last slide I have is just the single audit results. So the audit of your federal expenditures. So there were 4 major programs that were tested this year. You'll see those listed out here on the slide, the Section 8 project-based grants, Home Investment Partnership Program, Community Services Block Grant, and Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. Of those 4 programs, that made up $310 million of your total SEPA, which had total expenditures of $527 million. So we audit around 59% of your total expenditures that are included on that schedule federal expenditures, or SEPA, as we sometimes like to call it. Again, no reportable findings within the single audit uniform guidance report. Only one verbal matter that was communicated and monitoring and just following the policy in place at IHCDA. So with that, those are the results that I wanted to go over. Again, as you'll see, really clean audit results this year. No significant issues, no reportable findings. We really appreciate all the time and effort that Chris, Brennan, and all of the IHCDA team, because we deal with a lot of different individuals there as we audit those different federal programs. So there's a lot of people that help us work through this audit process. So we really appreciate all the time and effort. And I think seeing these clean results really shows what a kind of a great organized process you guys have in completing the audit and really seeing these good results. So with that, happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Any questions? Forbes? Hearing none, and I think, Chad, what I'll do is I'll give your report and a reminder to the board. After Chad gives his presentation, we will then open up for any questions from the board, but then if they are answered or if there are none, then at that point, Chad will be making the motion to approve. So, Chad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. Chad Greiwe, Chair of the Audit Committee. Thank you to the Forvis team, first of all, for the work that you did on the audit. Also, thank you to Brennan and the rest of the team that helped ensure that we have a clean audit. It's always nice to work with an organization that's as buttoned up as we are at IHCDA. So thank you to Brennan and the team for their efforts. As it may have been mentioned earlier, the Audit Committee received a presentation on April 13th from Forvis, and as it was mentioned earlier, it's a very clean audit, no issues. The Audit Committee even had a chance to meet one-on-one with Forvis and talk through their perspective on the audit. And as was mentioned in the meeting today, things went extremely well. So very, very pleased with the result of the audits and the work that went into ensuring that we have a clean audit. I guess, if there are any questions from the board regarding this year's audit, I'm happy to address those before making a recommendation.
I have no questions.
I'm not saying anything, Chad, so
Okay.
Feel free to move forward.
I'm going to go ahead and read the recommendation. Following the recommendation, there will be two. Do I do both of them at the same time, Jennifer, or just do one at a time here?
One at a time would be best.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the recommendation, the Audit Committee and staff recommend the approval of the following. Number one, the December 31, 2025 IHCDA financial statements and independent auditors report attached to Exhibit A. And number two, the December 31st, 2025 IHCDA schedule of expenditures of federal awards and independent auditors report attached here too. Then just go ahead and
just read that first.
read the first one. The Audit Committee respectfully requests that the board pass the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve the December 31, 2025 IHCDA financial statements and independent auditors report attached hereto as Exhibit A, as recommended by the Audit Committee and staff.
That counts as a motion, so I'm looking for a second.
Second.
I have a first and a second. We'll move to roll call. Treasurer of State, Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
Chad Greiwe.
Aye.
Andy Place Senior.
Aye.
Mike Schottmeyer.
Aye.
Mark Pasquarello votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. We'll be ready for the second one.
Thank you, Mark. The Audit Committee.
Can you hear me?
Oh, Greg Pauls. Okay, Greg Pauls is on. So Greg, welcome. And
Thank you. Sorry about that. I joined a little late, had a little trouble. I've been skipped for 2 votes. I wasn't sure you knew I was here. So.
No, I appreciate it. Did you hear enough of the presentation to feel confident in voting for this one?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so motion still passes unanimously on the first one, and then therefore we're ready for the second one.
Okay, thank you, Mark. The audit committee respectfully requests that the board pass the following resolution. Resolved that the board approves the December 31st, 2025 IHCDA schedule of expenditures of federal awards and independent auditors report attached hereto as Exhibit B as recommended by the audit committee and staff.
That counts as a first, so I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
We have a first and we have a second. So we'll move down the list. So Greg Pauls,
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott,
Aye.
Chad Grywey,
Aye.
Andy Place Senior,
Aye.
Mike Schotmeyer.
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And real quick, I will say, Chris, I believe it's the first time you've kind of ran with the audit upon your promotion. And so I appreciate your time. I also appreciate the staff's time. I know I've heard constantly back from when Rich was CFO to now Brennan being CFO, that the staff puts a lot of hard work and a lot of time into it. So it's not just one or two people running the show. It's a team effort, which means that the ability to do the audit and the financial controls are filtered throughout the organization, and considering how hard federal funds can be, and that's primarily what the housing deals with, dealing with that, I think is tremendous. So it's a big kudos to the team when this happens. And I want to make sure that's recognized.
Mark also likes to thank Chad for his
Absolutely.
time, so.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, Chad has taken over chair of the audit committee just because of the expertise that I think he brings to the board. And plus, I think it's always good to have independent board members play leadership roles on a board. And that's why we like to have independent board members. I think that's what makes this board so successful. So thank you, Chad. Great point. Thank you, Mike. All right, thank you. And we will now move on to finance item number 2. So I am going to welcome the CFO, Brennan, up to us to discuss the Series 2026 Bond Recommendation Memo. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, board. Before I move on to this, I do want to also echo the praise to the accounting team for the work that they do, this diligence all year long. I couldn't agree more that this is a clean audit is what we should expect, but I got to remind everyone, it is not easy. And it's a constant effort. And when it's something as complex as the way our financial structure is, it is very challenging, but having a clean audit makes this next step, which is what I'm here to talk about, that much easier, and that is issuing bonds. Our investors, the first place they look for results and whether or not we are a risky investment is our financial statements. So having a history of clean financial statements is paramount. So I am here today to discuss issuance of 26 Series B mortgage revenue bonds in support of our single family mortgage program. We're asking for an issuance not to exceed $250 million. We are anticipating it will be less than that by far. At this point, we're talking maybe 170 million. It will be a combination of taxable and tax exempt debt. And as our past several issuances for the past several years, this is going to be what I will call plain vanilla. This is going to be fixed rate debt, nothing fancy. And at this point, we're looking for a mid-May pricing if we get permission today, and a closing at the end of June. And if at any time something were to change, we will definitely be in touch with our friends at IFA to ensure that you understand the changes and are comfortable with them before we would proceed.
And I'll just add a note to the board. As usual, IHCDA has reached out to talk with the IFA about the issuance. So therefore, we kind of are the eyes and ears beforehand, the full disclosure, they give us full transparency. So there's nothing that we saw of any concern from the issuance. So I just want to let the board know that before we get ready for a vote. But before we get ready for a vote, we will have any questions or comments for Brennan.
If I may comment, because my friends are here, I'm a recipient, our family, of these incentives. I had no money at one point, or it was, I had money, but I fit the criteria and was, my first home was funded by this. So I'm always proud to support this program. It's a big part of what we do for first time home buyers. So I'm a recipient of that. Some may not remember that, a long time ago. I think it was 1986. So
Appreciate that comment.
when
Any
he reads the
questions?
resolution, I'll be happy to make it. For that reason.
We will let you go first. If there's no other further questions or comments, then we're ready for the resolution.
Okay, Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve the issuance of the 2026 Series B bonds and the related bond documents and disclosure documents as substantially final in the form presented, and authorize any authorized officer to execute the same as recommended by staff.
We have a motion on the floor, or we have a resolution on the floor. I'm willing to take a motion.
I will make a motion and I will footnote, the rates were 13.7%. At that time, and I think it allowed us to be able to not do a down payment and I think get the loan at 10%, and I was really happy. So for all the young people in the room, give you perspective, 7% rates or 6% are not a bad thing. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Andy plays second.
We have a first and a second. We'll move to roll call. Greg Pauls,
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott. Aye. Chad Grywing,
Aye.
Andy Place Senior.
Aye.
I think I may know the next one, but Mike.
Aye.
Mark Pastorella votes aye. There's 4. The motion passes unanimously. Good luck, Mr. Bryson. All right, we are done with finance, so we're going to move to section 3, which is the real estate, and we're going to welcome Andrea Lynch, who will present the 2026 Home Buyer Award recommendation for Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, board. My name is Andrea Lynch. I'm the Director of Home and Housing Trust Fund Programs. The first recommendation I'll be presenting is for a new home buyer award. Just in case there are new neighbors tuning in from the Evansville area, I'll go ahead and give a high-level overview of our home buyer program. Home buyer funding can be used for new construction or rehabilitation of single-family homes for ownership, and is available to nonprofits and local units of government for up to $500,000 per application. Applications are accepted on a rolling basis and are reviewed against IHCDA policy to determine all threshold requirements and minimum scoring have been met. Units are sold at market value to eligible home buyers earning up to 80% of area median income. And home funding offsets the difference between the cost of construction and the fair market value. The unique subsidy structure allows for a portion of the home funding to be passed through to the buyer as down payment and closing cost assistance according to their individual household needs. Homeowners are also required to participate in individualized home buyer counseling prior to entering into the purchase contract, providing a firm foundation to promote financial literacy and prevent against foreclosure. I'll have to stop myself now from gushing about how impactful this program can be and go ahead and move on to our application from Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership, or INHP. They are requesting $410,288 for the new construction of 2 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single-family homes in Beech Grove, Indiana. This project is in an opportunity area of the City of Beech Grove's consolidated plan. It redevelops the former site of Franciscan Health's Beech Grove Hospital. These properties will serve as infill housing for the community by converting the existing unused parking lot into single-story homes in keeping with the surrounding neighborhoods. IHCDA staff have verified the application met threshold requirements and scored above the minimum points required to be considered eligible to receive funding. Staff recommends the approval of a home buyer award in the form of a grant to Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership as listed in Table A. I'll take any questions.
Okay, I have one, just out of curiosity. How much do we annually and how much have we already spent? And is it a calendar year or fiscal year?
Yes, so we set aside, I think it's 2 million this past year for our home buyer program. And we are kind of working still through our set asides that carried over from the previous year, but we are kind of getting close to pushing that mark, dipping into this year's 2 million. So yeah, we're definitely chugging along.
And it's calendar year
Yes.
to spending as far as like getting through that 2 million, and you'll try to get through that 2 million from April through December 31st.
Yes, so it'll be part of our consolidated plan.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, then we are ready for your resolution.
Staff respectfully requests that the board approve the following resolution. Resolved, the board approve the following: a home buyer award in the form of a grant not to exceed $410,288 to Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution in front of us. I'll take a motion.
All motion we approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and I have a second. Then we will go in order. Greg Pauls,
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Ellett,
Aye.
Chad Growey,
Aye.
Andy Place Senior,
Aye.
Michael Schotmeyer,
Aye.
Mark Pasquarello votes aye, motion passes. You get to stay on, I believe, am I correct? So we will welcome you again, who will present the Home Community Housing Development Organization pre-development loan. Floor is yours.
My second recommendation today is for a new home total pre-development loan. As Mark mentioned, CHODO stands for Community Housing Development Organization and is a special definition for nonprofit developers that meet certain criteria for engaging the low-income community in their service area. The IHCDA Real Estate Department accepts applications for up to $30,000 for CHODO pre-development loan funds on a rolling basis until funds set aside for CHODO activities have been expended. Staff review each application to ensure the proposed costs are eligible under home regulations and that the organization meets the federal definition of CHODO. Advantage Housing Incorporated is requesting certification as a CHODO and a $9,400 CHODO pre-development seed money loan that will assist them with architectural plans and legal and title fees for a home buyer new construction development in Wabash, Indiana. IHCDA staff had reviewed Advantage Housing Inc.'s application for CHODO certification and found that they meet HUD requirements for designation. The pre-development loan application likewise met all requirements and all proposed costs are home eligible. I'd like to note this is Advantage Housing's first time being certified by IHCDA as a CHODO and would be the first of these partner organizations to complete a project in Wabash County. So staff does recommend the approval of awarding home pre-development loan funding in the form of a loan in an amount not to exceed $9,400 to Advantage Housing Incorporated. And pause here for questions.
Thank you. Do you have questions or comments? Hearing, seeing none, and before Jennifer kills me, when you do make a motion, please state your name as well, correct? I want to make sure we get that done correctly, so. So, we have no questions or comments, so therefore we are ready for a resolution.
Thank you. Staff respectfully requests that the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding home pre-development loan funding in the form of a loan in an amount not to exceed $9,400 to Advantage Housing Incorporated as recommended by staff.
Mike Schotmeyer, move for approval.
First,
Andy Place second.
thank you. Greg Pauls,
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott,
Aye.
Chad Growey,
Aye.
Andy Place Senior,
Aye.
Michael Schotmeyer.
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we are going to move to Cambridge Square bond recommendation, and that will be given to us by Alan Rakowski. Welcome, Alan.
Good morning, board. Thank you. I'm Alan Rakowski, Director of Real Estate Allocation. The purpose of this memo, attached resolution, is to request the approval of issuance of Series 2026 multifamily housing revenue bonds for Cambridge Square North Apartments in the principal amount not to exceed $32,233,727. This project was originally approved by the board for the allocation of tax credits and bond volume in August of 2025. The bonds will be issued on behalf of Cambridge Square Housing LP. IHCDA will serve as the conduit issuer for the bonds, thereby loaning the proceeds to the borrower to finance the rehabilitation of its multifamily housing complex. As is the case in both projects that I'm presenting today, the bonds are backed solely by the revenues derived from the development. It will not constitute a debt, liability, or obligation of the authority or the state of Indiana. The borrower is proposing the rehabilitation of 380 units of family housing in Indianapolis, with the authority serving as issuer of the bonds and additional approval by the board in addition to the allocation of tax credits and bond volume as necessary. So the recommendation is for the board to approve the issuance of Series 2026 multifamily housing revenue bonds to Cambridge Square North Apartments pursuant to the attached resolution. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I think we're ready for your resolution.
Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve the series 2026 multifamily housing revenue bonds, Fannie Mae MBS secured for Cambridge Square North Apartments pursuant to the resolution attached hereto as Exhibit A as recommended by staff.
Have a resolution in front of us. Happy to take a motion.
Andy moves that we approve the motion.
First, can I get a second?
Andy plays second.
First and second, we'll move to roll call. Greg Pauls,
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott,
Aye.
Chad Grywey. Chad say,
He checked, he popped off.
okay, so Chad is not making a vote on this. Andy Place Senior,
Aye.
Mike Schottenheimer,
Aye.
Mark Pasquarello votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. I believe you're going to stay on, if I am correct, to present the Garfield Place bond recommendation.
Yes, Heritage Trails.
Heritage Trails, I
Heritage Trails
apologize.
recommendation. So this is the approval for the issuance of Series 2026 multifamily housing revenue note in a principal amount not to exceed $13,121,173. This project was originally approved by the board for the allocation of tax credits and bond money in November of 2025. As with the other one, we are serving as the conduit issuer, and the borrower is proposing the new construction of 180 units of family housing in South Bend. With the authority serving as the issuer of the note, an additional approval by the board, in addition to the approval of the allocation of tax credits and bond money is necessary. So this recommendation is to approve the issuance of Series 2026 multifamily housing revenue note for Heritage Trails pursuant to the attached resolution. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Happy to take a resolution.
Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve the Series 2026 multifamily housing revenue note for Heritage Trails pursuant to the resolution attached hereto as Exhibit A as recommended by staff.
I have a resolution on the floor. Happy to take a motion.
Greg Paul, so moved.
Greg Pauls giving me a first. Can I get a second?
Mike Schottenheimer, second.
I have a first and a second. We'll move the roll call. Greg Pauls,
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
Has Chad reappeared or is he still? Okay, then we'll move on to Andy Place Senior,
Aye.
Mike Schottenheimer.
So you skip Chad.
Oh, I skipped Chad. Oh, he is on there. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought I didn't see it, Chad. So Chad votes aye. So then we move to Andy Place Senior,
Aye.
Michael Schottenheimer.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So motion passes unanimously, and that is from my neck of the woods, South Bend. So.
I thought Andy would make the motion.
All right, so we have the conduit bonds done. Thank you very much, Alan. I appreciate it. And then we will now be moving to welcoming Matt Rayburn, who will now present let's hope I get this right, the development of rental housing for youth aging out of foster care.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome, perfect.
Excellent.
Welcome.
All right, well, good morning, board. Good morning, guests. Thanks for having us here in Evansville today. My name is Matt Rayburn. I am the Deputy Executive Director and Chief Real Estate Development Officer. And I do have a couple memos today, starting first with this special initiative for housing for youth aging out of foster care. So the board may recall, but it's been a little while since we saw one of these, so I'll give a little bit of background. Back in 2023, the two-year state of Indiana biennial budget for 2023 to 2025 included a special one-time $5 million budget line item called the Homeless Prevention Grant Program. That money came to IHCDA to create housing opportunities for individuals at risk of homelessness, specifically youth aging out of foster care at risk of homelessness. Once we received those dollars then in the second half of 2023, we established a partnership with the Department of Child Services as our partner state agency on this initiative, worked with them to develop our special initiative that would result in the development of rental units that would provide long-term affordable rental housing for youth aging out of foster care. So that would be youth age 18 to 23 at the time of admission into the housing. And this model provides both rental housing as well as wraparound on-site supportive services. With the $5 million that we received from the state, we wanted to stretch that money further. So IHCDA matched that with $5 million from the development fund to create a total $10 million program. And in conjunction with DCS, we put out a request for proposals to identify 4 development teams that would each receive $2.5 million in grants to create these developments. So over the last kind of 2 years, we have been getting the projects approved by the board. The board has previously approved the original 3 developments, and we in December received our 4th and final application under this program, and have spent the last couple months reviewing, working with that development team, and are now ready to present that for approval today. So the new development before us comes from a nonprofit called Building and Impacting Communities, Inc. They applied for the rehabilitation of a 12 unit project in East Chicago. So it's an existing building that will be converted into 12 one-bedroom units of housing for youth exiting foster care. That nonprofit BIC is providing the housing and the management, and they are partnering with a local supportive service provider based out of East Chicago called Epiphany and Company Counseling Services. And that organization will provide a variety of on-site resident services, including counseling, therapy, academic tutoring, financial literacy, budgeting assistance, employment training, mentoring, pregnancy supports, and wellness classes for the youth who will call this place home. So today, I'm happy to have this recommendation for these 12 units, $2.5 million of funding for this development. And I'm happy to answer any questions about this specific development or about this special program.
I think I only have one comment, which was the tie between foster care and homelessness. If I remember correctly, there is a tie. So I think it's excellent to have this type of program.
Correct. Yeah, there's a very strong correlation of individuals who have been in foster care having a disproportionate amount of experiencing homelessness than the regular population.
Yeah, so the 18 and
there's a high tie. If you
care.
exit foster care, probably very low income. So the purpose of this program has been specifically to ensure that as those youth are exiting foster care, they have somewhere to go, but not just a unit to go to, but those various supportive services that will help them with employment, financial literacy, et cetera. So very, very excited that we've been able to offer this program.
Yeah, I was blown away. I remember when I heard it, and I never really thought of that connection, but when it's explained, it's very impactful. So yeah, I'll leave it open to anybody else for any comments.
Matt, you said this is the 4th.
Yes.
2.5, can you remind us of 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, so the previous projects we have funded were the Firefly Children and Family Alliance doing a 17-unit development in Indianapolis, La Casa for an 11-unit development in Goshen, and Regional Health Services for a 10-unit development in Hammond. So across those 4 developments, it will be a 50 total units created across the state.
Pretty expensive per unit. I mean, we have to, anyone here can do the math. That's a pretty high per unit cost. Can you explain why?
Yes, well, unfortunately, I would actually say these are pretty good per unit cost for us. So it's $200,000 per unit construction on this program, compared to some of the federal programs we see where there's additional costs of issuing the tax credits and equity, et cetera. For what we're seeing on rental construction right now, $200,000 is actually lower than our average rental developments right now. So yeah, so $10 million. So I'm looking total across the entire program. $10 million awarded for 50 units. That's right at an exact $200,000 per unit average cost. So that is below what we've seen for the last several years on the development side, just as costs have gone up. Almost all of these developments did include both acquisition costs as well. So these were not partners who had this land already. So that $10 million was covering both acquisition as well as the construction or rehabilitation. So actually, based on what my department is seeing right now, that $200,000 is kind of below the average per unit rental development cost in the state right now. Certainly something we continue to track. We would love, of course, to see dollars stretch further and to see that lower. But a $200,000 per right now is below.
We talk about this a lot, so
yeah.
I just thought,
yeah,
since we're in a new forum,
great question.
Somebody will have that question out there and they just didn't want to ask it. So
yeah,
the escalating price is definitely hurting getting the best value for the dollar.
Absolutely.
I will just mention one thing. We do have two different funding sources here. We're going to do them as one resolution unless anyone on the board opposes. Hearing none, then we'll just go ahead and take the resolution for both funding sources as one resolution.
Thank you. All right, I will proceed then. Staff respectfully request the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve the following. An award of $1,250,000 from the Homeless Prevention Grant Program in the form of a grant, and an award of $1,250,000 from the Development Fund in the form of a grant to Building and Impacting Communities, Inc., as recommended by staff.
Board, I have a resolution in front of us, looking to take a motion.
Mike Shopmeyer, so moved.
First, can I get a second?
Daniel, second.
We have a first and a second. We'll move to roll call. Greg Pauls,
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott,
Aye.
Chad Grywey,
Aye.
Andy Place Senior,
Aye.
Mike Schotmeyer,
Aye.
Mark Pascarell votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
We are now going to have you stay up here if I am correct.
Indeed.
And then we are going to have you do the project-based voucher and section 811 project rental assistant awards.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, so today I'll be presenting the second memo, which will have two distinct resolutions related to a request for proposals we put out in December for existing permanent supportive housing developments that needed a new source of project-based rental assistance. So in the background section of the memo, we do just quickly talk through the two types of project-based rental assistance that IHCDA has available and administers. So we have our project-based voucher or PBV program. That program allows us to take a portion of our tenant-based housing choice vouchers and instead of giving them to individuals, to put them onto specific units. And so that is kind of broadly available for individuals who are very low income, and IHCDA in its voucher administrative plan targets those resources towards supportive housing for vulnerable populations with a focus on people with disabilities and people experiencing homelessness. The second resource we have for providing project-based rental assistance contracts is the 811 Project Rental Assistance Program. Operates in many ways very similar to project-based vouchers, but it is a distinct HUD funding source that we receive. We have received that through two competitive programs where we received competitive dollars from HUD. What's unique with the Section 811 program is two things. One, Section 811 dollars cannot be put on 100% of the units in a project, and it is intended to create integrated supportive housing. So no more than 25% of the units in a project can receive 811 unit contracts. And then finally, 811 is specifically at the federal level designed for what HUD calls non-elderly disabled. So in order to live in a Section 811 unit and receive that rental assistance, the household must have at least one person between the ages of 18 to 62 who has a disabling condition. So those, as the background, are the resources we have. So again, in December of 2025, we put out a request for proposal for existing supportive housing developments that needed a new rental assistance source. And depending on their project type and who they were serving, we would then make the determination as to whether they were eligible for the PBV model or the Section 811 assistance model. Through this request for proposals, we did specifically say that the project had to demonstrate there was some type of existing operational deficit. In other words, a strong need for the rental assistance. So that could have, for example, been that the project did not have a project-based rental assistance contract at all, that its current contract was expiring or had expired, or if the current rental assistance model they were under just was not financially sustainable to continue to operate. So through this RFP, we received 11 responses. But what we saw was that the majority of those 11 responses, the requests were based specifically on a concern that continuum of care funds, which are HUD funds specifically for providing housing and services to people experiencing homelessness, that there was concern back last December that those COC funds may be lost or diverted to other purposes at the federal level based on some HUD determinations. What we have seen since then is that while long-term there is still some questions about the COC, that did not become effective for this year. So the applications that were submitted to us that were saying, hey, we have COC money, we're applying just because it might go away. They are okay for now, so we are not currently funding those programs. We'll continue to monitor the situation, and if in the future those projects ended up without assistance, we would look to assist with a future RFP. But we did remove those projects that their only reason for a request was, well, if COC went away, I'd be in trouble. That left us with 4 remaining applications that had other unique situations and needs. So again, these are already operating as permanent supportive housing with affordable rental housing and services for individuals coming straight out of homelessness into the housing settings. So definitely populations that are in need of rental assistance. So what we've identified then on table A and table B are those 4 projects that were demonstrated to have a need. Table A identifies 3 projects that, because of the nature of the project, what they qualify for is the project-based voucher, because they need the rental assistance on 100% of the units. So that is Crawford Apartments 1 in Bloomington, which would receive 25 project-based vouchers. Crawford Apartments 2 in Bloomington, which would receive 36 project-based vouchers. And Walnut Commons in Muncie, which would receive 44 project-based vouchers. And then in table B, we just had 1 eligible applicant that qualifies for the Section 811 rental assistance. That is Thunder Point in Fort Wayne, which has a total of 64 units, but only 13 of those are supportive housing, which is under that 25% cap for the Section 811 rental assistance. So with that, I will eventually have 2 resolutions, 1 for the vouchers, 1 for the 811 funds, but I will pause there to answer any questions.
Any questions? Hearing and seeing none, I think we're ready for the first resolution.
Okay, thank you very much. Staff respectfully request the board approve the following resolutions. First, resolve that the board approve an award of 105 project-based vouchers for the 3 projects identified in table A above, as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution in front of us. Take a motion.
Andy Place, motion for approval.
I have a first. Can I get a second?
Mike Schotmeyer, second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call. Greg Pauls.
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott. Aye. Chad Ryrie.
You dropped off again.
Dropped off again. Andy Place Senior.
Aye.
Mark Schotmeyer.
Aye.
I vote aye. Mark Throw votes aye. To make it unanimous. So we can move on to your second.
Excellent, thank you. All right, second, resolve that the board approve a Section 811 Project Rental Assistance Award for 13 units for the project identified in Table B, as recommended by staff.
Do a quick turn for any questions or comments. Hearing and seeing none. We have a resolution in front of us, so I'll take a motion. Getting late in the day, isn't it?
Mike Schotmeyer, move for approval.
We have a first. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a first. We have a second. We'll move to roll call. Greg Pauls.
Aye.
Treasurer of State Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
I don't think we have Chad. My eyesight's getting bad at this age, so no Chad. So we have Andy Place Senior.
Aye.
Dr. Schotmeyer.
Aye.
Mark Vascarell votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, board.
That was a longer meeting. I appreciate the board's attention to the items. I am now happy to get over the voting, and then we can move to the update from Executive Director Tom Pearson.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, board and guests. Good morning, fellow teammates from IHCDA. I'd like to thank Rick and Advantix for hosting this today. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much. Joyce and Gary, thank you. What your 2 organizations do to the communities that you serve is astounding. Thank you very much. Mayor Terry, thank you very much. Okay. I'd also like to thank Brian for setting up a lot of this, Dylan, Jennifer, Skylar, all for the board meeting piece. And then lastly, Brennan, Chris, and Jim, if you don't mind standing up real quick. I'd like to echo all the sentiment that was said today. IHCDA runs usually around 60 programs. It's very, very complex. And then put on top of that, the LIHTC area Matt has, the single family with, as you heard, the resolution for the bond issuance today. It's very, very complex. So well done. I'd like to acknowledge them for that. So, and with that, I turn it back over to you, Mark.
Thank you very much. We'll move to.
Did you want to see Matt?
CMAP in May.
Matt, okay.
Got to segregate that out. I will give a little tease though. We have some excellent news coming in May that You'll have to stay tuned to hear about. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before I get to something I will have to read at the end, just to give a little bit of logistics here for following the meeting, but is there any new business or other business, I should say, to come from the board? I'm hearing and I'm seeing none. So now you'll have to bear with me as I end the meeting with reading. Following the board meeting, Advantix staff will be conducting small group tours of Erie Point, Evansville townhomes, and or the community building located nearby. Also, Cape of Evansville has invited the staff and board members to visit and tour one of their developments, which is across the street from the board meeting location. We also have community services staff that will have met with partners prior to the meeting, and we'll visit with a few after we return. So I really appreciate everybody who is putting together those tours. Obviously, it's neat for us to be able to see what actually is being built. A lot of times I know I get stuff with, you're approving all this, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of great programs. But then actually seeing them, I think, really brings it home to exactly what we are doing and accomplishing here. Again, I thank the board for coming down here, for those who are visiting, and for being here as a longer meeting than usual. But also, most importantly, I'd like to thank the mayor and the city of Evansville for hosting us. It's a pleasure to come down here and be a part of it. So thank you very much. And with that, I believe all I have to do is say we're adjourned and give the time, which my watch has got text here, 11:06, we are adjourned. So.